Hello, fifth grade, and welcome back to science. I'd like to discuss some of the questions that we included on our content inquiry page the other day. The questions were, what information can be included on a map, and how did you use the grid to help you make a map of your model? So please take this time to grab your content inquiry page out and check over your answers, and if you would like to add anything to them, or you can do that now. Or if you didn't fill anything in, you could fill that in now. Pause if you need to. So what information can be included on a map? Well, maps can be used to show roads, structures, landforms, and all of these things are generally seen from straight above. If you included, schools, trees, answers like that are fine also. Next question, how did you use the grid to help you make a map of your model? That was pretty much a your opinion type question, but maybe you might include you used the grid to identify positions of buildings and other features on the map. Maybe you were very careful to try to space things out as you thought they belonged. Okay, I'll let you fill that in. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I will be moving on to Investigation 1, Part 3, Map Making. So, I'm sure you've all seen maps, and I'd like you to think about some of the things that you've seen maps used for and what kinds of information you've seen included on maps. Cartographers that we talked about the other day that create maps, they go through several steps when they make a map, and most maps, and I'm sure you know this, end up being printed out on paper. So what we are going to be doing today is making a paper version of a map of the schoolyard. And what I'm going to have you do first is compare the map making sheet that you are going to be getting with the overlay grid. So if we're looking at the overlay grid, it's quite a bit bigger than the map grid. I would like you to take notice that they have the same number of squares. So if we're looking across the top, I have 1 through 10 across the top here, 1 through 10 across here, A through M, A through M. So the amount of squares is the same. It's just the map grid is a smaller version of it. So each square on the overlay grid corresponds to a square on the map grid. So I'd like you to think about how you would use these two sheets to make a paper map of your schoolyard. So think of your ideas. Could be transferring information from the overlay, making it smaller on the map, however you would like to go about doing that. The next thing I would like you to look on the map grid is, you can see on the bottom there's a place for a key. So if you've not had a lot of experience with map keys, this may be new to you, but the reason that maps have keys on them, they're usually an explanation for symbols used in a map. And symbols can be colors, shapes, textures, pictures, anything like that that can represent something else, such as a building, road, landform. I'm going to show you a few images of map keys, so please just pay attention to these as we go. Okay, here's an example of a map key, sometimes called a legend. They use different lines and pictures to show different types of land. This might be helpful when making your schoolyard model when you are demonstrating the prairie. Now this will be different. We don't have hills and mountains, caves, that type of thing, but just something to keep in mind while you're doing yours. You may have different symbols, maybe like this for your trees, where the trees areas are. On the playground, you might have something like this to demonstrate the different stones or the chips that are there. Another example I have for you right here. In this one you can see that they have lots of little pictures. They even have a scale so you can see like 1 inch equals a mile or whatever the scale that they would put. Also different colors. If you'd like to look more into map keys, because you will be making a map yourself, you can literally go to Google, type in map key, and get tons of ideas that way. Yeah, if you just look through here, there's quite a few. All right. So what you will be doing today, 5th grade, is you will be creating a map of the schoolyard. Feel free to use your overlay grid to help you. And what I'm going to have you do is every person is going to make a paper map. I'd like you to make your map using pencil. Once it's done in pencil, you can embellish it with colored pencils if you'd like. You don't have to. I'm going to show you a couple examples from students many years ago of the maps that they made, and you can kind of see on some of them they have the scores of if it was a 3 or if it was a 4, 1, 2, etc. But it'll just give you an idea of what I'm looking for. All right. So here's the first one. I'd like you to notice, I think every one that I've seen the students have included the streets. I think that's great. It doesn't have to be this way. If you wanted, you'll see some that are flipped 90 degrees where 6th Street is on the bottom. It's entirely up to you how you do it. But this is, I'm just going to show you some examples. So in their key, you can see down here, they put in some hills where it got a little higher up towards the back of the playground. Parking lot, but you can go ahead and look at that. Pause if you need to. And don't just copy a good one. I want you using your own. Next ones, sales 6 keys, different keys on these. Fence, trees, different textures for the prairie. And some of these were color, so I'm sorry about that. When I scanned them, they must not have gone to color, but you can do that on your own. I know it's winter now, so it's hard to visualize, but if you remember like where the chips were this color, where they had stones, grass, prairie, any details you can give are better and better. Okay, school. See, this one was a 4. I personally like these a lot. This one's key must be a little light. And again, the more details you can give, the better. This, not a lot of details. Okay, this one forgot their key. This one included the key. And the last one I have for you. So the more information that you can share on your map, the better. But the map is your baby. So that would be another project over your long break to work on the map key, or the map key and the map itself. You will be getting work time at the end of this to work on your map right away. But the more items you include in your key, the better. With your map grid, I am going to put on the back an example of some items to include in your map itself. Things like the school, the outdoor classroom. You could show where the prairie is, the blacktop, basketball courts, playground, parking lot, all those types of things. But I'll include that on the back just as a helpful reminder of some things that you could include. Okay, next thing is you will need your content inquiry page, and we'll go ahead and write in the vocabulary words for today and then your content inquiry questions. Okay, so on your word wall, 2 words for today, symbol and key. Pause as needed to get these definitions written in. Symbol is a color, shape, or texture used to represent something else on a map, such as a building, road, or landform. And a key is an explanation of symbols used on a map. Next part, content inquiry questions. Why is it important to include a key on a map? Again, feel free to fill these in as you go, but you can also fill them in when we talk about it in our next class. Second question, what symbols did you use to represent buildings, landforms, and other features on your map? So until you finish your map, you really won't be able to answer this question, but please write it in. Again, these questions will factor directly with your test. Okay. As these are done, you can put those away. The next thing that I'll have you doing over your long weekend is working on the questions that go along with the story you've been reading. So if you have not done so, you should have finished up that first science story, Maps and How They Are Made. Maps and How They Are Made, Ancient Maps, and you will be getting this worksheet to fill out next week. So just giving you a heads up, if you have not done the reading, I would do that. You'll get this worksheet right away on Monday, so any reading that you have not finished, please do so over your long weekend. But things to be looking for while you're reading is what is a map scale? Draw the symbol for a quarry or open pit mine, which was in the reading. What is another name for a map key? What is an inventory map? What is a thematic map? Mobility map? And what is a general reference map? How is a GPS navigation system used, and what does GPS stand for? What are some of the problems with ancient maps? What map system is used today that divides a circle into 360 degrees? When were more accurate maps first made? And what are meridians? So if you have not finished the reading, please do so, and you will be getting this sheet Monday. That is all for science today. So any additional work time that you have should be used to work on your map